You know, if you've ever watched someone you love struggle with something as basic as eating, you know it's about so much more than just the food. It's really about dignity. So today, we're going to talk about how to compassionately, and more importantly, effectively help someone who's having trouble feeding themselves.
It usually starts really quietly. Let me paint a picture for you of a woman named Mrs. R. For decades, she was the one hosting Sunday dinners, just a total pro with a fork and knife. But then, things started to change. A little wobble in her hand, a spoon that just tipped a bit too far. It's a story that so many caregivers recognize all too well.
And then that moment happens, the one that just breaks your heart. After dropping her fork for the third time in one meal, Mrs. R just pushed her plate away and said, "I just can't do this anymore." See, this isn't just about having a little trouble. This is a moment of total defeat. And that's exactly where our work begins.
And right there, that moment forces us to completely reframe how we're thinking about this. Our first instinct, our gut reaction, might be to see it as stubbornness, right? Or we think, oh, they're just giving up. But the reality is so much more complicated. They're not being difficult. They are literally losing tiny, specific micro skills, and the frustration has just become completely overwhelming.
Okay, so let's dig into why this is actually happening. Using a utensil, like a spoon or a fork, it feels like one single action to us, but it's not. It's actually a really delicate chain of tiny, coordinated movements that most of us do without a second thought. But when just one little link in that chain gets weak, the whole process can just fall apart.
And the reasons for this, well, they can be all sorts of things. Sometimes it's simple age-related changes in motor skills. Or it could be the fog of cognitive decline, the actual pain of arthritis, or even something as subtle as their brain just processing things a little more slowly. Any one of these can be enough to weaken that chain.
And this, right here, this is the core idea you need to hold on to. It's not a total loss of ability all at once. It's that one small breakdown, maybe it's the grip or the lift or aiming for the mouth, that causes the entire skill to just collapse.
But here is the good news. We can absolutely help rebuild that chain, and we can do it with two really powerful, proven tools from behavioral science. They're designed to restore not just the skill, but also that all-important dignity. They're called task analysis and shaping.
All right, first up is task analysis. Now I know it sounds a little clinical, but it's actually beautifully simple. All you're doing is taking a huge, overwhelming skill like eating a meal, and you break it down into a ladder of tiny, manageable steps. The whole goal is to create a series of small, achievable wins.
Let's make that really concrete. So instead of focusing on eat your soup, we focus on just one thing at a time. Can they just pick up the spoon? Awesome, that's a win. Can they hold it with a decent grip? Perfect, that's another win. Each little step becomes a success in and of itself.
Okay, our second tool is shaping. And honestly, this is where the magic really happens. Shaping just means you reward the effort. You praise the small steps towards the goal. You don't wait for perfection. You build confidence, you build momentum by celebrating every single tiny bit of progress along the way.
And this really gets to the heart of it. Success doesn't grow because we as caregivers push harder. Success grows when the task gets smaller. It's a much more gentle and way more effective approach that's backed by research.
Okay, so that's the theory. Now let's turn this into a practical, hands-on toolkit that you can literally start using at the very next meal.
The first and, frankly, easiest place to start is the environment. Seriously, before you try to change the person, just change their surroundings. A simple non-slip mat, a weighted spoon, a plate guard, these things can create an immediate win and reduce frustration instantly.
All right, next up is a really critical physical technique. Our instinct is often to put our hand over theirs to guide them, but there is a much, much better way that creates a feeling of partnership instead of control. See, hand over hand can feel really controlling, like you're taking over. But when you place your hand under theirs, you're just providing support. They stay in charge. They remain the leader of the movement. It's such a subtle shift, but it changes the entire dynamic from control to teamwork.
And our words, our language, is just as important. Think about it. Criticism shuts down effort completely, but reinforcement, even for the smallest success, keeps the behavior alive. So instead of pointing out the mess, praise how steadily they lifted the spoon. Instead of correcting them, just encourage the attempt. It makes all the difference. Now here's something that comes up a lot for caregivers. You might be wondering, does using adaptive equipment, like a weighted spoon or a special bowl, does it feel like cheating? Like you're just giving in? Let me be perfectly clear about this. Absolutely not. They are tools, not shortcuts. The goal here is participation. Independence isn't measured by perfect form. It's measured by their ability to stay involved in their own life. Full stop.
So let's bring this all back home. It's really about reframing the entire situation, not just for your loved one, but for you too. The goal isn't a clean plate. The real goal is preserving dignity.
So the next time you see them start to struggle, remember this: they are not giving up. What's actually happening is that they're losing those tiny micro skills we've been talking about, one fragile link at a time.
And that right there, that defines your new mission. Your role isn't to be a fixer. You don't have to fix everything. Your role is to be a guide, to gently and lovingly light up the very next step, the next possible win in that chain.
So, I want to leave you with this question to think about. After everything we've covered, what is one small, achievable step that you can help light up for your loved one today?